Well, here we go. We're back again. And hopefully we have something intelligent to say today. Hopefully. Okay, I got another video here that I wanted to do, and this one should be interesting because it's going to be based on a lot of the overall experiences that myself and Nicole and others have shared with us in regards to what I'm going to call in the video soul-to-soul connections, twin flames, feeling what she is feeling. If you've spent any time up on YouTube or in any Facebook groups that pertain to any kind of connections, be it twin flames or soulmates, whatever, you have probably heard commentary from dozens of people saying, oh, I can feel what she's feeling. I can feel his pain. I can feel what he's thinking. I can feel this. I can feel that. And in many cases, some of the experiences that are being shared with the two people are really quite profound. And they're completely blown away by a lot of these experiences. And one of the things that I have noticed that seems to be one of the biggest problems in these soul-to-soul connections, under whatever label that you particularly are comfortable with and or using at this time, is that the big majority, not all, but the big majority of people who have these intense connections, and I mean intense connections, they're getting stronger as the months and the years go by. What they're still trying to do is to bring this together based on the old relationship templates, belief systems, how-tos, what-fors, and a lot are not having a great deal of success. They're being completely overwhelmed, for example, by, say, their soul-to-soul connection, twin flame, who has an addiction. They're being overwhelmed by individuals who have all sorts of dysfunctional functions that they find out after the fact, after they've come back from that euphoric bubble of state, as I've so popularly labeled it a few years back, and now everybody seems to be using it, and that's okay. It shows that I'm rubbing off on a few of you anyway. And what's happened is this, I have heard many people say also, and it's kind of surprising to me that when they look at these connections, they have this, I don't know where to get it from, it must be from some closet in the spiritual community. Oh, well, I'm just going to trust and have faith that everything's going to come together and everything's going to be wonderful and everything's going to work itself out. I think a lot of people are missing a point. And the point is, I'm going to try to bring it out during the course of this video. And I'm going to refer back to what a lot of people call the runner and the chaser stage. All right? That's what a lot of people call it. I've even done videos on those two topics also. But as we move along, and as conditions change and evolve, as they should in spiritual growth and evolution, this is no exception to the soul-to-soul connection and the twin flame community as a whole. I think what a lot of people are missing is this, is during that connection between the two individuals, as I've said before, there's a melding and a merging and a connection that takes place, first of all at the spiritual level, or the soul body, if you want to call it that, and then it begins to filter all the way down through the mental body, through the emotional body, the etheric body, and last but not least, right down to the physical body. And during this process, the intuitive faculty, the telepathic abilities of the two individuals hook up at every level, So you can be experiencing literally what the other individual is putting on for a pair of shoes or a pair of pants on any given day. That's how up close and personal it gets. The problem that many people are having at this particular point, besides the fact of treating this like a traditional relationship, and you're going to move it into that traditional relationship format, is they are not understanding the depth of this intuitive connection as it goes on, and I'm going to try to explain this by giving you a few examples. There'll be some more really flamboyant ones, and I'm going to give you a couple that I've come across recently, which will resonate with some of you. As you well know, there are quite a few of us on the planet who are control freaks. We like to think that we're in control of everything. We're in control of our lives in general terms, and we like things to go the way we like them to go. So, for example, you have a soul-to-soul connection, and you link up at all of these levels, from the top right down to through the emotional and right down to the physical. Now, I want to emphasize something. To be human is to be emotional. And I can assure you that one of the things that's very prominent when you kind of come back down to a vibration that's previously what it was before, but not quite the same, because you've made that link. So let's suppose, for example, we have a lady or a gentleman who has control issues, and they've connected with a soul-to-soul twin flame connection. And what happens is all of a sudden that intuitive link-up, or the telepathy, as they like to commonly call it, is relaying information back between the two people. Consciously, they may not be aware of it. But we may have, for example, a lady who's very much in the control situation, and she wants this guy in a relationship based on the traditional format. And she doesn't come out and say it, but he knows it intuitively because they're connected at the emotional level. So he becomes aware of her emotional control issue. So what's he going to do? He's going to run. Simple. Because he's going to be intuitively aware of it, so he's going to do that. The point that I'm trying to make here is a lot of people are not taking enough time to pay attention to the intricacies of these connections and what's going on. I'll give you another example. Let's suppose we have some sort of sexual belief system and behavior module within, say, a guy. And he has some unusual sexual habits. I'm not going to say abnormal or anything out of the context, but everybody has their own perspective and their own behavior in regards to their sexuality. So in this emotional connection, guess what's happened to the female in this particular picture, if it's a female, or any other matchup is perfectly acceptable too. I don't want to leave anybody out here. So what happens is immediately she's going to become aware that there's something going on, and in some cases may even start experiencing the issues that he may be having with his sexuality in her dream state or her meditation state. And the confusion goes on. Let's suppose, for example, that in a particular soul group that the one individual comes into, that they have certain mental conditions, and mental conditions pertain exactly to the mental body. And what's going on is this. Mental conditions can mean mental disorders or dysfunctional aspects of the mental body. Keep in mind, again, I said, you're hooked up at the spiritual level, the mental body, the emotional body, the etheric body, and the physical body. So all of this interplay is going on between the two individuals, all right? And some would say, well, wow, this becomes a very up-close and personal situation. There's a lot of stuff going on between the two individuals in question. Yes, there is. But I need to emphasize here, if I could get more people to stop thinking that these intense connections, under whatever label you want to put them, twin flame, twin ray, all of them, you know what they all are. If I could get them to start thinking of it in terms of more than just an ordinary relationship, we would be accomplishing something. Because this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing up on YouTube. A whole lot of people having these wonderful, intense connections, running around and actually getting information from people who haven't got a clue what they're talking about. And when they're giving information, are basically doing it in the format of a relationship in the traditional form. There are very few people who actually understand the process of what's going on at all of the levels and layers that I've been talking about. So what's happened is this, and I like to give the big picture in a given situation. You'll have to bear with me. The guy next door is sitting on his motorcycle, so I'm probably going to pick up some sound. He likes to sit on it and kind of listen to the sound of it gurgle and fart for 10. Oh, he just shut it off. Or he left. Okay. Yeah, he's got this habit. It's a nice habit. He sits on his motorcycle. It's a new guy that just moved in about the house next door. He likes to sit on his motorcycle when he gets home from his ride and sit there and let it idle for 5 minutes. I guess it gives him a thrill, or maybe it raises his kundalini. I don't know. But he has this habit of doing that anyway. Back to what I was saying. In these connections which are happening on a grand scale at this particular point, the big majority of people are still thinking of it in terms of relationship. And it behooves me to remind every one of you, sooner or later, and a great many of you are going to do this the hard way, you're going to have to start paying attention to people who are talking about the process of the intuitive connection between the emotional, the mental, the spiritual body, the physical body, and all of the interchanges that are taking place. Because I can assure you that what's happening is this, is you have a great many of these people who are coming together in these soul-to-soul connections. And what's happening is, oh, he is still sitting there. Now you got to rev it up 2 or 3 times. There, you shut it off. Isn't that wonderful? That's so kind of them. See, they all do that. Boys and their toys, okay? Got to make it before they shut it off. I don't know, it gives them a power surge, or I don't know, it feels good on the scrotum or something. I don't know. Whatever. I never got into bikes, so I never really turned my crank. Anyways, as I was saying, the situation with these connections is such that when they're taking place, the total openness, the total clearing of anything and everything that would inhibit any knowledge or experience of the other person is completely wide open. And that sharing goes on at all these levels. And the experiences that people are having blow the mind when you think about them. And what's happening is some people are literally like blown away by it. They don't understand what is going on. But here's the message that I've been trying to convey, all right? And it's this. We have had a few set of twin flames that have got on the planet, and they've accomplished the first part of the mission format, and that was to template a new relationship format that is available to everyone on the planet. However, having had that, every one of you that has this connection still has to go through all of the clearing, all of your personal issues, and all of the dysfunctional patterns, impediments that you may have, and everyone has them. There is no exception here. There's no perfect people on the planet, myself included. We all have issues. And these are going to come out in these connections. And people have to be aware that this is, again, a process. If you have an issue that's predominantly within you, in the emotional body, or specifically in the mental body, it's going to come up. If you have a situation that is in your, let me put it this way, in your etheric body, say, for example, deeply ingrained belief systems, or physical impediments, or addictions, or dysfunctional patterns, you're going to have them come up because the person that you connected with is going to be aware of them, and the both of you are going to be literally forcing each other's impediments to come up. Now, some will say, and they're going to do this, well, why is God doing this? This has nothing to do with God, all right, or any religious factor at all. This has to do with evolution, and it's a process, all right? And we're all going through it, so we can leave that aspect out of it at this particular point. This is not a form of punishment. The beautiful thing about this whole process is this, is a lot of people will say, well, geez, Mel, this sounds like a real mess. All you got to do is to go in any Facebook group that contains twin flames, or any other group for that matter, And you can see the mess that's there, the people with the whining and the crying and the wailing. Oh, my twin flame's doing this, or she's doing that, or I blew it and he blew it. They're still talking about it in terms of like it's a particular ordinary relationship, which it's not. What's happening is every one of us are going through a cleansing and a purging each time we have one of these connections, all right? And each time we have one of these connections, under any label, there's going to be an issue or a pattern or an impediment that's going to come up out of one of the bodies. It could come out of the physical body, the etheric body, specifically for us, because we're a human species, we're a very emotional species. Of the emotional body, which is the biggest one of all, is where we have these emotional attachments and belief systems that we get involved with, especially when it comes to a situation. I'm going to mention this again just because it's this type of a video. When I hear people talking, and a great many times in the twin flame groups on Facebook, I'm listening to them talking from their emotional body, and they're in the pain situation, all right? And they don't understand what's going on. They can't accept that it's a process that they're going through, because a relationship that they perceive that has been promoted by so many people in the twin flame community. The twin flame is not a relationship per se, as you knew it, folks. Those days are gone. What's happening is all of the impediments in you and the other person are going to come out. If you're a control freak, you're going to try to control your twin flame. Your twin flame's going to know about it, because he's going to pick up on it, and he's going to do counter move. And if your twin flame is a male, and you're the female, and he's got a sexual issue, for example, you're going to pick up and feel it in that particular perspective. Or if he's got an addiction of some kind, say he does drugs, your etheric body is going to pick up on the drugs or the chemicals. You're going to experience it. Let me tell you, a couple of times, I even mentioned when your twin flame farts someplace across the planet and you can smell it, don't laugh. It's not funny. I've actually heard that story several times in that particular perspective, and it's reality. I'll give you another one that I've heard. If you've ever had bad breath and you happen to connect with a soul-to-soul connection, you could actually be several hundred miles apart or on the other side of the planet, and all of a sudden your soul-to-soul connection or twin flame could develop bad breath too. And guess what? That's what sharing's all about. But the message that I really want to bring into play here is this, is look, a lot of people are just seeing this from a very linear perspective of just a relationship between two people, all right? That's all most of you really want and are looking for. But you got to understand this, folks. You got to understand it. You're going to have to earn the damn thing. You're going to have to learn this process. You're going to have to find people who know what they're talking about. And you're going to have to learn the intricacies of the process and what's going on with you at a particular point in time. And stop going and trying to drag it back into these old relationship concepts, because we're in a whole new ballpark here. And the beauty of this system is this, and this is what I know for a fact. Others have said it, I'm not the only one. Because there's so many of us going through these trials and tribulations, I see it all as very positive. Because if you have two people in a soul-to-soul connection comes together under any label, and they have these moments or periods of time where they go into the euphoric or the bubble love phase. I even heard somebody said they met their twin flame without it, okay, without going into a bubble love phase or soul-to-soul connection. It's not possible, all right? They didn't meet anyone they really connected with, if that's the case, because you have to at some point go into the euphoric state. Still, what happens is that's the goal. That's the long-term thing that's going to happen and be available to everyone. That you feeling of balance, of in a state of mystical state of consciousness. And again, I emphasize this can be accomplished with another person, but it can be accomplished by yourself at that particular point in time also. It's not just a two-people thing here. There are people on the planet who specifically don't want relationship, but they do want to get into the evolution type of thing. So look at this from the big picture here, and look at it this way. If we have all of us going through and dealing with these issues and bringing out these control issues and bringing out these dysfunctional patterns and cleaning out the emotional body, and if we don't get it right the first time, we're going to get another chance at it. We're going to get another kick at the can. And some of us may have to do it 5 or 6 times before we actually get it right. And that's fine. because we're a very stubborn species. We think we're very intelligent when we're not. We're actually incredibly stupid. I mean, look what we're doing to our planet. We've actually reached a point where we're polluting our ocean. Can you believe it? We have all of our waste material going now into the ocean. It's nothing but a big sewer, and nobody will accept responsibility for where it's going. So, we all have to take a role here. The big picture is this: if you have all of these people who are becoming very empathic and very intuitively and become aware of what he's doing or she's doing or feeling this or feeling that, what that means is that's going to be what you're going to be able to do with other people in a relatively short space of time. Just because you have it with the one at the moment, or the soul-to-soul connection, that will spill over and you will have this same attribute to connect with other people. A few people at first, and then more people, and then more people, and then more people. And we're going to become more open, more empathic, more intuitive, more sensitive. And that means we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to change our lifestyle. We're going to have to change the way we live as a society. We're going to have to stop living the way we've been living for the last 40 or 50 years. Our society is going to change, and it's going to change not by choice, but because the evolutionary process is taking us there. Whether we like it or not, we're going to go through this. Every mother's son and daughter of us is going to go through this empathic, intuitive connection, feeling what other people feeling. How the hell are we ever going to understand and be empathic, sensitive, and nurturing to other people, other races, other cultures, other belief systems, if we don't open up and actually be able to feel what they're feeling, sense what they're seeing, be with them in that particular sense? Otherwise, we're going to continue on with the same old political structure we have, the same old government structure we have, and the same old structure that we have in our society. So all of this is now unfolding. So the next time you find yourself in a pickle, and it's not going well between your soul-to-soul connection, your twin flame, or whatever, try and look beyond yourself, all right? Too many people are thinking they're spiritual, and they're evolving spiritually, but all they can think about is me, 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 me. And what's he, or she doing? Because I can feel him, and I just want him or her to come together with me, and I want to be in the burbs and and do the rest of that stuff. You're all going to do that. But if you're going to do it, you're going to go through the cleansing and the purging of all of these old impediments and blockages at the emotional, the mental, the etheric level. And then when you actually do meet the one, you will be ready. And I can assure you of something. When all of us, to the greater number, go through this cleansing and purging and what we call the rough time that we're going through right now, we will be able to have long-term, solid, balanced relationships that will last a lifetime, but not based on the old template that we have now. It'll be based on that, because right now, all of this that I see, the wailing and the gnashing of teeth that's going on in a lot of the twin flame groups, I love it. I love it. The more you whine, the more you wail, the more you stomp your feet, the more you kick and scream and want to hang on to that old relationship template, I love you for it. Please do. Because we're stubborn. We don't give up easily in any way, shape, or form. We just believe, and this is because this is another issue that I want to mention at the end. For literally thousands of years, men and women on this planet have been brainwashed, yes, brainwashed, by culture, by religion, and by families to relationship templates and belief systems that are so deeply ingrained. This is why in the soul-to-soul connections and the twin flame connections that are going on right now, we are having such a problem. But the problem will come to a solution because there are a few of us, very few of us, who are actually beginning to understand the process and moving through it and able to turn around and share with individuals what are going on. So the whole scenario of the people who are in the agony and miserable because their marriage fell apart because they met their twin flame, or their twin flame met their this or the going on. All of that stuff, I see it as being partisan. The more miserable you are, the better I like it, because the shorter time you're going to spend there, because only it seems that the only way that we seem to learn things on this planet is when we're backed in a corner and somebody's hitting us on the head with a stick before we finally get the message, before we will let go of our stubbornness and our old belief systems about relationship, love, and sexuality at that particular point. So the final thing that I'm going to say to you is find yourself someone, if you want to progress, and if that someone can give you information to help you understand that when you're feeling what he's feeling or what she's feeling and it's going back and forth, try to understand that it's a process that you're going through. You're doing this because you're helping humanity, your soul group, your bloodline, your family tree, because you're evolving. And you're making this possible through yourself and the other person by dealing with your impediments and blockages that you have that are preventing you from becoming a high vibrational person. The other thing that I want to mention here is there's a lot of people around who are thinking that they're very close to some kind of thing called an ascension process, and I just want to get into this for a moment. From what I can see at this particular point, I don't think there's anybody on this planet at this point, no matter how evolved they think they are, that is anywhere near or close to being ascending anywhere, because we still all have issues. I think what happens is, even in the spiritual community, we have to take a little bit of a refresher here and hit the refresh button and come down off of our spiritual, whatever you want to call it, podium, and start looking at the issues that we're dealing with at our levels, at all levels that are going on at this particular point also. All right. Now, before I leave, remember, it's a process, and the process is going to affect you at the emotional body with all of your belief systems, impediments, be they positive, negative, at the physical body in regards to any physical disabilities, impediments, blockages, or inherited diseases and or conditions, mental, in the mental body, or mental disorders and dysfunctions of the mental body. All of this is going to come out. You can look at this, the degree of difficulty that you're in, as a healing process. All right, this is what's taking place. Although some of you won't like what I said or won't agree with it, that's what's going on. Now, before I go, I just want to leave one final thing here. We do have 3 very good Facebook groups, and we have kind of 3 of them that vibrate at different vibrations and different comfort zones for different people. And I'm going to give them here again. I wrote them down because we have a lot of people who are interested, it would appear. We have our Twin Flame Process group, True Twin Flame Process group. All you got to do is type it in on your Facebook page to take you right there. The other group that we have, of course, the Twin Flame Process is about, obviously, twin flames and the process. And we have Sacred Relationships Through Spiritual Reunion, which is our other group. This group here is a group that is vibrating a little bit less on the twin flame thing and moving more into a sacred type of relationship situation. And, you know, there isn't a one-size-fits-all here. Everybody is on different parts of the book or the journey kind of thing. So we've kind of got 3 groups going for that purpose. And the last group just started here a month or so ago. This is called the Soul to Soul Connections, the Evolution, Soul to Soul Connections, excuse me. And you can find that one by simply typing in Soul to Soul Connections, and we'll take you right there. It's a small group, but it's a group that is very comfortable in not using any of the traditional labels, and the conversation can get very open and very meaningful. If any of them resonate or vibrate with you, pay us a visit, and if you look like you're an amenable person, you'll probably get in. Have a nice day, everyone.